Hey everybody, this is Greg Lake with EntheoConnect.com. Today we are here with Drew Bankey, author of I'm Perfect and So Are You. It's actually a very good book, provides many good spiritual insights, that Drew has come across over his years working with the medicine and, walking a spiritual path. We're here today to talk to Drew about his path and kind of some insights here with this book. Drew, how you doing?
Good. I just want to introduce my wife, Ella Bankey. She's here joining us today, and we're talking about the book a little bit today. In part of this, and she's the artist for the cover of the book, and I wanted to bring her in and do an interview with her and speak about the book and as far as a balance between the masculine and the feminine. The way I source expresses its message through me is through words in my book and spreading the message. I believe everybody has their own way, and her way is through the art. So I wanted to honor her and also have her come in and speak a little bit and about what it was, how it was channeling that message and that picture of the book. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And to be honest with you, Drew, when I got your book, I mean, I looked at, many self-published authors, obviously contract people to do their covers. But when I looked at this, I thought, wow, it's really good. And it fits in really well with the content of the book. And so for you to tell me that your wife did it, doesn't surprise me at all. And, it turned out really well. So yeah, I can't wait to hear from her as well. And I'd like to hear eventually how y'all got together. And
for sure,
from what I understand, y'all have a family and everything in Colorado.
Yeah, we have three children, three teenagers between the both of us. My two children from a previous marriage are in Georgia, and she has a daughter in Ohio. But her daughter comes out and visits very often. And as far as me and my children, the spiritual path is kind of hard for them to take right now. So we're going through some growing pains with them. So, but yeah,
it'll all work out for the best.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I guess we'll start off, Drew, I know you were in the military and served, I guess, in the Afghanistan war in the early 2000s, if I'm correct.
I was in Iraq.
Okay. So if you just want to talk maybe about your early life, or if you want to pick up where you kind of at the military, and then just kind of take us through, your life story and spiritual path, up until today, if that's okay with you.
For sure. Yeah. Our hit on the key points because the whole story is a long story, but
okay.
I was raised on a farm. I was adopted at birth. Well, actually I was 5 days old when I was adopted. So actually I was born Joshua Robinson. A lot of people don't know that, but for the first 5 days I was Joshua Robinson. And I grew up on a farm, and my adopted mother was a nurse. My adopted father was a farmer. My adopted father had Native American background, but it wasn't like in a ceremonial sense. It was more like a lifestyle. So we lived off the land a lot. We grew our own vegetables and raised our own animals. And, I didn't eat anything out of a supermarket until I was probably, 16 or 17 years old, other than going to school. All my meals at home were grown on the farm. So that was my upbringing, joined the military at 19, and that was Army Reserves, went to basic training. And 2001, I become a sheriff's deputy. I was a sheriff's deputy from 2001 to 2004. And towards the end of 2004, I decided to go active duty. And because I wanted to go to Iraq. My reserve unit had a couple chances to go to Iraq, and then we turned around and didn't go. I went active duty with the intentions of going to Iraq, and within a month of me going active duty, I was on the ground in Baghdad in 2005. So that was the start of the beginning of the trauma that pushed me to the medicine, and that's how I look at my time in Iraq. my first deployment was in Baghdad. We did convoy security, where we hauled around generals and other high-ranking government officials, both in the Iraq government and our government, and celebrities when they were come for USO tours or stuff like that. We would be their security guards, basically. And we got hit by a lot of IEDs. I had my left eardrum blown out in 2005. Not a I never even took my weapon off safety. That we just got that year. We just got hit by a lot of IEDs. I went home for a year. Tried out for Special Forces in 2006. Went through the first phase of that and completed it, but I didn't get selected. They told me to come back in 6 months, and I decided not to do that because it's like, you hit your head on the wall, you're not going to do it again, knowingly. And that's pretty much what Special Forces selections is,
Yeah.
But it taught me a lot about myself. January 2007, I was on the plane going back to Iraq for going to Ramadi, Iraq, which is Anbar province. And we went to the most hostile city and the most dangerous place in the world at that time. There was my second deployment. There was 80 attacks against coalition forces for the first 5 months every day. So there was 80 different separate engagements that involved coalition forces against enemy forces per day for 5 months straight. So it was day in, day night. There was constant trauma, to the psyche, to, now what I understand about the vibration and frequency of our existence. I understand how I absorbed all that trauma from those deployments, particularly my second deployment. Saw a lot of stuff that I'll never forget, and I'll never get images out of my mind from my second deployment. And went through a divorce my second deployment. My first wife left me in Iraq, the mother of my children. And that was 3 months into a 15-month deployment. So I spent a whole nother year, really helpless. And, I threw myself into my work. I was a sergeant. I was a combat observation lasing team, a cult team leader. So as a sergeant, I had a few guys under me. And then I eventually, halfway through that deployment, I switched to another unit and took on a different mission. But yeah, I remained pretty much active, especially training Iraqi soldiers all the way to the end of 2008, actually. And 2009, I got discharged. And then the real war started. The easy war in Iraq, that, looking back at it, the easy time was actually in Iraq. The harder time was from 2009 to 2014. 2014 was my first suicide attempt. I was building a business at the time. I had 2 multi-million-dollar investors. I had a warehouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 12,000 square foot warehouse. And I was building a very large company that was taking off very quickly. And, PTSD snuck in at what happened to be at the right time to disrupt that path. And woke up in the ER, picked up by the ambulance, woke up in the ER. And that's when I really found out I had PTSD. I didn't know what I had at that point. I just thought, I was depressed or whatnot. Found out I had PTSD and started going through VA counseling. And then I went through their medication program, and I could fill up the coffee table sitting in front of me with all the empty bottles of medication I was on. When I finally decided to stop taking medication, which was about 2015, it wasn't very long. I had enough of it. And around 2015 was the first time we met ayahuasca, and we went to Soul Quest in Orlando. And this is when they were reasonably a lot smaller than what they are now. And we did. Me and my wife did ceremonies there, our first 6 ceremonies, and the first ceremony was hell for both of us. And we had a lot of purging. in the bathroom a lot. And, you know, I think I used the bathroom like 15 times, didn't throw up, you know, everyone else was throwing up. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And it, you know, it just took me into actually a darker place. You know, I actually thought I was unfixable after that first ceremony. The next night was the second ceremony. And, yeah, I got shown a lot at that night. The second ceremony, you know, showed me why I was here and showed me the existence of everything. And just in like a matter of 5 minutes, you know, a 5-minute vision, and it just set me straight for pretty much the rest of my life. The third ceremony, it showed me my path. It showed me I would be speaking. I would be channeling information down and speaking, transmitting their vibration and that vibration of the universe into a language that the masses could understand and digest. So, and yeah, we did 3 more ceremonies at Soul Quest, and I ended up getting a message that we needed to leave and find a more traditional route. And yeah, we left, and it wasn't too long after that, the teachers started showing up. You know, they say, you know, when you're ready for the teachers will show up. And it's very true. You know, we had a lot of different teachers approach both of us were medicine. You know, I don't just hold ayahuasca ceremonies. It's a partnership between me and my wife. So we've had a lot of medicine people approach us, and finally we had one that we really click with, and we've been working with him for a while. He's from Chile. His name's Renato, and he's pretty amazing. And yeah, just the stuff, the way this medicine path works. You know, the military service is, there's a lot of healers and light workers that are hidden in military service because they have this intuition of serving a higher power or a higher cause. And the highest point that they can find is either military or law enforcement, where this was my intuition. It was a deep burning inside my soul for a long time, but I didn't understand there was anything past the military or law enforcement. You know, I was looking at a ceiling that I didn't know there was another side to. And after ayahuasca came in, it showed me what that real intuition was. You know, the real intuition to serve was each individual mission. We each one of us walking around on 2 legs right now, or even if you're not walking, you still have a mission, a sacred mission that you're sent here to do in this time, especially in the time we're in right now. So yeah, those are the early messages from ayahuasca and how we met ayahuasca. And since then we've formed a relationship with other plant spirits, Wachuma, San Pedro, mushrooms. We work with mushrooms a lot with microdosing, combo,
Rapé.
Yeah. And Sweat Lodge. I'm also in my spiritual path. We volunteered a lot of our time and energy. So both me and my wife went to Standing Rock and protested pipeline with the Lakota tribe a few years ago. And during that time when we were there, I got invited to Sundance to come and basically observe. And I got a dream. I accepted the invitation, went to Sundance, and before Sundance came, I had a dream that I saw myself dancing. And I shared that to actually the grandmother that invited me to Sundance. When I got to the ceremony itself, I shared that dream with her, and she said, well, it's time for you to dance then. That's the spirits telling you to dance. And, you know, that's the ayahuasca and the plant spirits. They will take you and show you things, but to really integrate with the spirit world, the Sundance is very powerful for that. And, you know, that's a 4-day ceremony with a fast from food and water for all 4 days, day and night. And you dance all day, sun up to sundown, and there's a piercing involved. So I pierced on my chest and my back. I pulled buffalo skulls, drug from piercings on my back, and I've danced to the tree with piercings on my chest. And yeah, that really, it really teaches you a lot about deep lessons of the universe. The Sundance will tells you the power of the human race and everything, and how we're all connected. It shows a lot of things in very great detail.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I also read in your book too about another Native American ceremony you attended with, I think it was purely just a lot of songs, maybe 28 or 30 songs. And you were
Yeah,
speaking of, the spirits actually coming into this realm as opposed to in a medicine experience. I guess generally we enter the spirit realm when in this one they actually manifested in the ceremony space.
I'm getting goosebumps because I know that talking about this. This is, these ceremonies where you got to really work your mind around them to work inside a plant medicine ceremony. The Uwhippie ceremony, the ceremony that you're speaking of, is 28. There's 28 songs, and it's in a completely dark room, and you lock all the windows and doors, put blankets over the windows so there's no light. And yeah, I've experienced personally, I've experienced a Bigfoot inside a closed room with a locked door, locked windows, and a Bigfoot has manifested in front of me and demanifested before the lights came back on. And this was witnessed by a person that was sitting beside me, actually. And so that's a Uwhippie ceremony, and that's actually one of the oldest ceremonies that is known. It goes all the way back to Neanderthal days. They found evidence that the Neanderthals were doing this ceremony.
Wow.
And basically it's a trance between and an agreement between everybody there that they're going to sing these songs and have the same intention, that they're basically opening up the possibility of magic for it to happen in this room. And that's
Okay.
at a very simple level. That's what the intention is of everybody in that room. And then you have, depending on the size of the Uwhippie ceremony or how many, some of the people might not be singers, but there's usually a group of people that know the songs. And I've sat in three of the ceremonies, and even the songs that I didn't know when I was in the ceremony, is like a download was coming from a different place. I was singing songs I've never even heard before, and ancient Lakota prayer songs that are not on YouTube or anything,
Yeah.
These old Lakota songs, and it literally opens up a portal space. And there's a medicine man. He gets tied up, wrapped up in a blanket, and he gets put on a buffalo robe in the middle of the floor, and then all the singers sing. And really the agreement is between the medicine man and the spirits that he is willing to give up his life energy to open up this portal. And really, Uwhippie man dies every time a Uwhippie ceremony is done. This is why Uwhippie men are, their life expectancy is only like 8 years after taking the altar for a Uwhippie, because their heart starts and stops, and they trust enough. Actually, they actually suffocate themselves inside a blanket or a sacred robe that they get tight. They have two or three people tie them up and lay them down. And it's very tight. You can, they actually suffocate inside there. And the agreement between the Uwhippie person and the spirits is that the spirits are going to use his life force manifestation energy to open a portal. They're going to come in and do healings or do whatever. For me, it allowed me a deeper understanding of what was actually possible. For other people, there was healings that happened in there. There's people healed from cancer and other things. If people want to look up more about Uwhippie after this interview, I suggest they go to Google and look up Black Elk Speaks. It's a book. I highly recommend it. He's the famous, most well-known Uwhippie man in our modern era. He's had a couple documented cases where he's had a Uwhippie ceremony at a hospital in Denver, and the spirits come in and healed everybody in the hospital. It was a ceremony for just one boy that couldn't walk, and it took years. The family spent years trying to find a cure, and they eventually contacted Black Elk, which was a Lakota medicine man, a Uwhippie man, and they got the permission for him to come in and do this. Well, he did the ceremony for this boy, but the spirits come in, they actually healed everybody in this hospital. It was like 100 people. There was there's so many reports they couldn't hide it. There was there was nurses that was chasing patients down the hall that were, a few minutes before that, they couldn't walk. They were paralyzed for years. And there was patients run down the hall that were on their deathbed and stuff. So the UWIPI is very real. I can attest to that from my own personal experience. And yeah, it's not very common to find one. There's very few UWIPI men in the world, but yeah, they definitely deal with a different realm of, and a very extended understanding of the spirit world.
Yeah, and so I wanted to touch on one subject, Drew, and I know we talked maybe a month or so back, but I wanted to get your thoughts, and it's something that I've been kind of experiencing a lot in my life lately and have formulated my own kind of thoughts and beliefs on. But what is your view on, our vibration and our ability to manifest in our life, if that makes sense?
It's simply our choice, in all actuality, and that's what the book is about. The book, the title of the book was a message, was a direct. I didn't choose the title of the book. It was from a higher source, and it was after a point where I had an extreme point of oneness, what someone might call, or a point of Christ consciousness, or Buddha consciousness, or whatever. But I was in front of Godhead, and I stepped inside Godhead. And with the understanding, I was willing to give up I was willing to give up my life to go inside Godhead and fix everything, because I thought everything was so screwed up in the world that it needed someone to go in there and fix it. But as soon as I went in there, I realized that everything was balanced. There was a balance between everything that was going on in the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It all made a soup that we could all eat, And yeah, that's there was actually a voice come to me at that time when I was I saw the whole universe, not only on this planet but off planet. I saw everything was connected as one, and everything was flowing perfectly already. It always has been, always will be. There is no change to it. It's just a flow that we have to accept. Yeah, and a voice come to me. It said, I said, "Man, everything's perfect." And the voice actually laughed. God had laughed, and it chuckled a few times and said, "Yeah, that's the kind of the joke. People come. There's a lot of people that come here, but there's no one that stays, because they come here and there's nothing to do. Once you get there, and you can only look at perfection for only a few seconds before you're like, what else could I do?
Yeah.
What if I can't make a difference from the point of Godhead? Where can I make a difference from?" And it showed me this vision, what I'm doing right now, and talking on these conferences and doing these ceremonies, and whatever I'm led to in the now moment is what I'm supposed to be doing. But
I'm a very strong believer in that with manifestation also is action in place as well. Because a lot of people get the thought of manifestation and they think that they can just sit around and pray or repeat mantras all day long, and they're going to have all this stuff created around them. And that's really not how it works. We work really hard for all of these ceremonies, for all of these speaking events, for everything to come to fruition. It's also a 50-50 effort. So it's manifesting is holding that space, holding that dream space of where you want to be, and then working towards that as well. So it's like a sacred union within yourself.
I agree with you 100%. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of very profound things about manifestation, but that's about as far as they got on the topic. But I've found with my life, you're right. The more that I do actually in my mind put myself in the place where I want to be, it's like my physical body will start to just naturally want to line that up. And so my activities start getting geared towards moving that direction. But again, it takes the first step. I mean, you've got to get up and start putting that together.
Within that, you're also reprogramming. You're reprogramming your mind for that positive mentality too. So I think it's very good to have like counter thoughts. If we have negative thoughts or we're having a rough day, have that that image right where you want to go constantly, and just go right to that. Just have a flash of that. Just picture yourself there and just holding that space as much as you can, because when we're having low vibration, when we're in a negative space, that power to manifest is just, it's gone. It's very, very low. So you have to hold yourself in the self-care. Self-care is a really big one. You have to hold yourself into a high space to be able to manifest and to make your reality how you want it to be now.
For sure. Another thing, like we've been up to this point, and I believe we're at a segue in humanity that we need to start accepting that everything is perfection. But up to this point, we've been in this duality paradigm where anytime anything good happens, we're already getting ready for something bad to happen. Like we feel like, you know, the wave is going to have a trough at one point, you know, but we have to accept that there's a point where you find water that is just smooth water, you know, and it's just glass clear, and you can do whatever you want to on it, and there's no resistance. And this is really what life is. Like I asked, don't not necessarily ask you, but I asked the viewers, like, how many times have you been at work and maybe your loved one sent you a text and you were upset about it all day, but when you got home and you talked to your loved one, they explained their intention behind that text, and it was totally different than what you interpreted. This is really what it is in everyday life. Our reality is really what our perception is of the moment. And if you want to be Buddha, you can be Buddha but you don't have to meditate every day. The basis behind the Buddha idea or Christ consciousness or whatever is accepting everything with a smile, because you're just grateful to be alive. I've had 3 near-death experiences, and it's definitely made me appreciate every breath I've taken, every moment that I have walking on this earth. And people get caught up of what's wrong, you know, just like this COVID, for example, this COVID thing. It could be looking as a pandemic. It could be it could be a big message of an apocalypse, or it could be a message for you to become closer to your family, because you don't have to go to work. You know, unemployment is allowing people to be at home more. I know there's struggles and stuff, but there's things if you look at it for what it is, you're able to concentrate on your art more, concentrate on your music more, concentrate on this podcast channel, this YouTube channel that you made, and your work. You know, for me, and I know that you did your book during this during the COVID. I was the same way.
Drew, this has been the most productive, happiest year of my life. It really has, and it's because COVID kind of forced me. Well, I was still working full time, but in my spare time, COVID forced me, and with help of my spirit guides, to do productive things with my spare time. And it started with the book and has progressed all the way now to this website and the church work, and you know, where I truly feel my higher calling.
Yeah. I think we published our book around the same time, and I went years. She was telling me to write this book. You know, you need to write a book. I had tons of people telling me, like, you got a book, like you need to write a book. Well, we was going to Florida, you know, we was going to Southern California, we was going to Washington, we was going to conferences and doing ceremonies in Ohio and all over the place. And there was just never time really where I could sit down, take a deep breath, and let it out. And yeah, COVID opened that space and allowed that space for me to do that, you know. And you know, the stars aligned. I found a co-author that, you know, had a spiritual vision to help me with this book, you know, had a message of her own after listening to one of the podcasts, and it just all come together. So it's all about perception. It's, you know, everything is a message. Quite honestly, everything that happens from time you stub your toe, if you cut off a finger, a car accident, all the way to death, it's all a message. It's a message for you, and it's a message for everybody around you. You know,
you know, real quick, I wanted to touch on something about the positive, vibration or vibrational frequency. I knew nothing about this until I was forced into a inpatient rehab facility. I was there for 31 months, but there was a rule there. And one of the rules was that you had to maintain a positive attitude at all times, which obviously, as you can imagine, for a bunch of drug addicts was very, very tough. But one thing I started to realize is that the people who had made it, let's say a year or more in the program, the one thing that they had mastered above everything else was maintaining a positive attitude. And what I began to notice is that things worked out for those people. Like things went their way more times than not. And so subliminally, I started to make this connection. And then I eventually started just maintaining a positive attitude and realized that, the saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and really put truth into that, into my spirit, in my being. And it just had such profound changes in my life. And so I lived like this and experienced the benefits for maybe a year and a half until I wrote this book and got in this space. And now through talking to people like you and other tidbits of information I get, I now fully kind of understand and comprehend exactly the mechanics going on there, to the best a human mind can comprehend it.
Yeah, we're all one, and there's no separation. There's no separation. People that go into ceremony, that's a big thing where they can't get over. They separate the two. They separate the vision and their lives, and they don't really understand that they're supposed to integrate the two.
Mm-hmm.
They're not supposed to use ayahuasca as a crutch. Ayahuasca is not supposed to be used all your life, unless you're. I don't have to drink much medicine. Like I can drink very, very little and have a full-on experience because most of the time, a lot of times I do ceremony without medicine. I'm able to raise my vibration to that. And I've been to that place so many times, I can recognize when I'm getting close to it. So a big thing about manifestation is being in the moment. So our manifestation, our lives, we're here. And if we're in the moment, then all our manifestation energy goes to manifesting our reality around us. And if we stay in a positive mindset and, man, that happened, but screw it, it just is what it is, and move on to the next and let that roll over that, then the manifestation just keeps going in a positive manner. Same thing is true. The manifestation energy is not confined to the physical. So if we're in the past or the future, if we're thinking about past traumas, or if we're thinking about what's going to happen in the future, that manifestation energy trickles out to those memories. And then we don't have full manifestation energy in the present. So that's really the basis behind why, medicine people and a lot of people say stay in the moment, because the manifestation energy is right here and now, and we can work with it a lot better. And because really there is nothing but now. The past and the future are just ideas. Yeah. So if we're giving manifestation energy, especially the traumas in the past, that's doing us no good. It's not changing really anything for that happened to us. Our memories are still there from what happened. And all that we can change is right here and right now. And another trick that I found with manifestation, I've really, once I found out the technology, I've tried to figure out how I could tell the public to do it easier. Picture something that you want, an event or something that you want to manifest in your life, whether it be a love or a business or a ceremony or anything, whatever it is, and be in gratitude for that, and start to be in gratitude for that happening sometime. And this is a time where I kind of, it's okay to come out of the moment, because you're trying to, you're really trying to use alchemy to make your life a better life. So you can have gratitude for this event that is going to, but the trick is you got to know it's going to happen. You got to know that eventually one day you're going to have this business, and you're in gratitude for it, and continue to be in gratitude for that. And eventually the universe has to allow that event or object or love in your life or business or whatever manifest to make the timeline make sense. If not, you're in gratitude for something that never even happened, so it doesn't make sense. The universe is very simple.
And let me ask you this. In my view, I view gratitude as one of the highest emotional states of vibration. For instance, me, I was a homeless drug addict for 2 years, went to rehab. And so when I got out, just simply having my own apartment with a private bathroom and like my own kind of things and privacy, I remember just waking up every day and just being like, man, this is so awesome. Like, this is great. And that's really when things just started just coming at me almost faster than I could process sometimes. But it made me realize that gratitude is really a very high vibration.
For sure. And that's really what a prayer is. Yeah, if I had like I have this exercise I do with people to show them exactly how powerful gratitude is. And you could use a pendulum. If you've ever messed with a pendulum, the pendulum is activated off of energy that comes out of our meridian points in our hands. We have, Reiki healers use them. There's meridian lines and meridian points where there's energy that flows out of our hands. So people that are familiar with that, familiar with pendulums, I invite them to take an inanimate object and put it in front of them and hold the pendulum over that. And if they haven't prayed to it or showed any gratitude, like a lighter, the pendulum will be still and it will not move. The minute you give gratitude for that, for lighting tobacco or sage or being part of a sacred thing like that, the pendulum will start moving and then there's source energy moving through that object now because gratitude. And that's simply what a prayer is. It's not a mantra in a Bible. It's not a mantra in the Quran. Those are all prayers too. Those are prayers that have actually hold a lot of weight because they've been done several times. But now is the time, to take your power back from all those books and all those deities and allow and grow your own light inside yourself. We are all like the second coming of Jesus is the whole collective becoming Jesus, becoming Christ, Christ consciousness. And that's really the second coming of Jesus. It's not a man that's going to come down here from the Star of Bethlehem. And I am by no means him, but I have definitely tapped into Christ consciousness and had several memories of that. And that brings me to another thing that I talk about a lot. People are misunderstood about past lives. If you can't say in one sentence that there's everything is now, everything is happening now, and there is no past or present. There is only, past and the future. There's only present, and then you can't say the next sentence. You can't say, well, I went to a regression with a QHHT practitioner, and I went through 3 or 4 different lifetimes. That doesn't make sense. Like, yeah. There's other dimensional spaces, really, is what it is. And because I myself have had memories of being on the cross, and I know thousands of others that have had memories of being on the cross. And I was not Jesus in a past life, but I was able to tap in to a moment in the incarnation of Jesus Christ that was important to Drew's walk. And I had to know why they put the nails in his hands. They knew about his energy and they were trying to trap the energy inside his body. That's why they put the nails in his hands, closing off his meridian points and closing off his feet, and then putting a crown on top of his head. They tried to make a container for the energy that was coming out of him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
basically you're saying that we all exist or have existed or will exist in this single consciousness that for whatever reasons we can all tap into certain parts of.
We can all tap into, yeah.
Because we're all one. So it's
Yes.
that great oneness. So if we're all one, we've all had those experiences at some point in time that we can tap into energetically.
Okay. And I've heard that before. And that does make a lot of sense. One time during a psilocybin experience, I actually what I thought was a past life at the time, but now really makes more sense along your explanation. But I experienced getting shot in a landing craft, in Normandy. as a very young man and falling into the ocean with all this blood everywhere. But, you know, as I'm looking up through the water in the light and seeing the blood, all I experienced was like all this war, you know, even that is just this love. And it was an amazing experience. You know, I cried about it, but, you know, it makes more sense on your explanation that this was merely me tapping into this consciousness at that time to teach me a lesson about war, hate, love, and probably ultimately about source.
Yeah, I had an experience of kind of the similar way with the Uweepi ceremony. Um, and going into preparation for the Uweepi ceremony, it's complete darkness, it's complete black. All the windows have, you know, blankets or tarps, everything's over them, so you can't see, you know, your hand in front of your face. And we were really tight in a room. There was probably over 40 of us in a small room, and the lights were out and it was dark, and I closed my eyes and I was sitting there, and I've never gone to one of these ceremonies before. This was my very first one. I kind of went into it blind, so I didn't know what to expect. I was very nervous, but all of a sudden I felt like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe no matter what I did. And I stood up and I'm gasping for air, and there was just no breath around me. And I felt like I was wrapped up like in a garbage bag or something. I couldn't quite explain it at the time, but I was suffocating and I was wrapped up in this bag. And it completely freaked me out to where I had left. I ended up leaving the ceremony, and this was right before it had even started. And I didn't know at that time that that was part of the ceremony, is that the Uweepi man does get wrapped up in
Oh,
a
wow.
suffocating way. So I believe I had tapped in to that consciousness that he was having going into preparation or going into the prior Uweepi ceremonies.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was enough for me for a while. I had to integrate with that for a long time.
Mind blown, huh?
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I'm kind of like you too, Drew. You know, I'm very kind of sparing with my medicine practice. You know, I was of the mindset for a long time that you really shouldn't go to the medicine unless you got something to bring it to you, aka like having an issue in your life. You know, I don't think necessarily that's a qualifier either. But I'm very, very integration heavy.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't feel like I'm properly or have fully integrated until I really see the results in my life, you know. And so that's kind of why I, you know, am very sparing about it. And
Well,
you
that's
know,
another thing. People get caught up into, oh, I'll be able to manifest, or I'll be able to do this once I've gone to this amount of ceremony. Once
yeah,
I drank the medicine this amount of times. And what I always like to tell people is the goal of these medicines is to not need them.
exactly,
The goal is to not
exactly.
need them. So it's not about going to all of these ceremonies and experiencing all these different plant medicines or hallucinogens or whatever people are being called to. The main part of them is to not need them anymore.
It's to meld the two, really. It's
Yeah,
to meld the spirit world and the physical.
to
And
walk into that. But also another reason I was like that for a really long time, I was really trauma based around ceremonies. I was like, oh, we're going to heal, everything's going to heal. I got so much healing to do. And then after that, I thought, well, what do you do then? And it's always good to have, like, you know, maybe like a yearly cleanse or something, because we always go through stuff. But also it can be too about as optimization. I really like going to the plant medicines, especially psilocybin, for the purpose of optimization, human optimization, spiritual, physical, all of it. Because once we've gone through and cleansed everything out, especially digging like those really deep roots and everything out, then we can call forth the optimization. And that's what we want to walk with into our lives.
yeah, and also we've come to a realization in our own practice, you know, like we're, you know, the evolution of sacred journeys within our foundation, our, you know, our name for our partnership basically in our medicine work has continued to evolve. And we're like, okay, should we name it Secret Journeys Within Healing Center? And, you know, I think that's my wife really, that the message come to her. If we if we label ourselves a healing center, then we're going to be healing people. But if it's Sacred Journeys Within and we concentrate on optimization, then we're manifesting a different, even in the medicine work, at every level of your physical incarnation, you're still manifesting. And, it's a learning process. Every step you go up, if you're trying to manifest what type of clientele and what type of center and church we're going to have, I'm focused on showing people the truth about crystal technology and alchemy, and the plants will help accent that at times, but there'll be times when I won't need that, and so this is evolution of our work. Anytime where we've set up a retreat and we've had a healing indication after it, we've had our work cut out for us. Everybody in there was coming with baggage, but when we started doing ceremonies, we're like, okay, we're going to celebrate ayahuasca. We're doing this ceremony just to celebrate ayahuasca and just set with grandmother, because it's like a grandma that you never meet, but she's on the other side of the world, and you talk to her on the phone, but you never actually see her face and never actually meet in person. That's how ayahuasca is for me. It's very much as real as that.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Go ahead, Drew. I'm sorry I cut you off.
That's all right. I don't know where I was going.
I was gonna ask your wife about since we're kind of getting towards the end, but I wanted her to speak about the image here on the book, if she had wanted to speak about that.
Yeah, sure. So after a lot of our ceremonies and dream space, I'm always given visions. I'm always given different paintings and work of art to create, and I do my best to put them into life. But with this one, I've been a part of all of these ceremonies. Almost every single ceremony we've gone through together. Mm-hmm. So I channeled all of that. So with my art, I like to channel the energies and just see what comes out. Just be open and be creative. And for me, that was it. It was the universe and beyond, and also the triangles, and the three first sounds are included within the triangle. Okay. So there's a lot of meaning, and also within that came a really cool phoenix bird in the earth. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's kind of in the clouds, but that just came about itself.
I see it now. Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah. So I've had this bird come about in almost all of my paintings ever since. Yeah, ever since I started really working with the channeling of the spirits and with my art, this bird just appears in my paintings, and it's really cool. So that's kind of a part of it too. And he's also a lot resonates with the Thunderbird. So a lot of the art on there is very personal, and it all does have a very specific meaning. So it was really amazing to be able to put that together.
Yeah, I'm really, the message of oneness is ultimately a balance between the masculine and the feminine energy. So like I said at the beginning, I wanted the book to have that vibration, and this is her way, and it's grown exponentially, and does every time she, with every brushstroke, that her art is constantly growing. I want her to really be a part of that, because I wanted the energy of the book to be balanced between the masculine and the feminine. And I want to speak about the three dots on there. They're kind of broken up between the front and the back. There's three dots.
I see them.
I speak about in the book, and that's the creation story that I saw. And Stephen Greer talks about it. It's in Vedic text about the creation story. They touch on it a little bit, but I got to actually see in visionary space of the creation of the manifestation of physical form, how it started. It started out with three tones. In Vedic terms, they're called mai, na, ma. So the first tone represents one, mai. Na represents the masculine, ma represents the feminine. So those three tones are the first three tones that I saw of existence. And the first tone was mai, and then the second tone was na, and the third tone was ma. And when those connect, they make a triangle. And what makes up Merkabas is triangles. And if people don't know what Merkabas are our energetic framework. In the energetic field, we have a framework that makes up our manifestation, how light travels, how energy is moved, and how dense this part is and how dense that part is. It makes up our whole body and how the color of it and the shape of it and everything. This is an energetic field. I see it every time I go into ceremony now. I can see someone's Merkaba, and then I can see exactly which energy point is blocked more in detail now. But we all have this. It's invisible, but it's surrounding us. And there's Merkabas around everything. There's Merkabas around the earth. There's Merkabas around every living being. And there's actually Merkabas around everything that we manifest with our hands, any furniture or cars or anything that humans create. There's Merkabas around all of it.
That's the same as an aura, right? You think? Kind
Um,
of? Or
Yeah, it's more of a scientific idea of aura. The aura, they say the aura stretches out the length of our arm. So all the way around us there is our aura. So when we're setting, this is why we set in ceremony in circles, and we set close enough so our auras are connected. And then when we're connected in ceremony, that makes one big aura, and that's how we become one. If we were spaced out way far away in a big field trying to do ceremony, it'd be really hard for a medicine man to open up that space.
Okay.
That
makes sense.
These are just secrets that medicine men have held deep to their heart for thousands of years, because it was their existence of being, of holding. If everybody knew these secrets, then what would they do?
Yeah.
But now it's to the point where we're at the point of evolution of humanity. Let's all face it, what it is. Everybody, there are a lot of people feels it. A lot of people don't know what's going on, but I'm here to tell you, we're in the middle of an evolutionary jump right now, dead in the middle of it. So
yeah, I believe it though. Yeah, I do. I see evidence of it and feel it too. I feel like I also play a part in it.
All you have to do is take a deep breath and stop zooming in on a little bit and take a look back and see what all is happening. There's biblical signs, prophecy signs. There's over 26 different indigenous prophecies that if you read them or if you look them up, the information, and look what's happening now, there's clear signs happening. Earthquakes and natural disasters were always a precursor to almost all these prophecies. Fires, pandemics, global illness,
rising water.
Yeah, rising water. These are all things and I believe it's going to culminate with a vast understanding of who we are, and I believe it's going to be some type of mass ET event, because I've had experience with seeing ships. I talk about in the book a face-to-face experience, and the lessons that brought with me, that brought with it, that meeting, or all those meetings really, it just really busts the paradigm that you're stuck in. If you see a ship and you just know it's a ship, your body starts vibrating, and there's actual physical repercussions from these things happening. And that's when it's not a satellite, it's not a flare or a weather balloon or something like that. If you are shaken and go into a space, or that night you have a dream, it's a real experience, and it's a paradigm shift of reality. And I believe the quickest way for the collective to do that is that. I mean, it's if we relied on ayahuasca to shift the paradigm, it might take another 10, 15 years. But if a bunch of ships show up in the sky, the whole collective switches their mind and understanding all at once.
That's right. I agree. Well, look, we're kind of getting towards the end here, but I know you said that you wanted to end with a prayer. So I'm more than happy to facilitate it.
You got anything you want to add, babe?
Yeah, or if she wants to add something.
Let's pray.
Just praying for my brothers and sisters, humanity, and the universe in general, all sentient beings, either known or unknown in this dimension or other dimensions. just ask for grace and love to blanket across all of creation, and trust and surrender to be the mantra of these days ahead, and trust and know that everything is always in divine order, and everything, the light will shine tomorrow, and it may even shine brighter than it was today, but it will shine tomorrow, and just release and trust in the process, and know that you're loved and held by the universe and the source of all creation.
Uh-huh. Thank you very much, Drew and Ella. I will y'all be back on, and hopefully sometime this year we can link up sometime somewhere and commune together or just hang out. And,
Yeah, let's go walk in the mountains and eat some
yeah,
cactus.
I want to, man. I'm going to try my best to make that happen, and you know, I'm always looking to shoot footage for videos and stuff, and so I'm almost sure, you know, coming out there would give me a great opportunity to shoot some good footage.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, we got a waterfall that's very sacred right here. That's we didn't even talk about where we're at, which is this, like I could spend a whole episode just speaking about the sacred valley where we're at, you know.
Yeah.
This is a very sacred spot. This is what I was shown. This is one of 5 sites that there's going to be a large tribe in the very near future. On the planet, there's key points on the planet. I showed that this was one of 5. Kind of like so this is an elevated valley. It's 8,000 feet. It's called the Sando de Cristo Valley, or Sando de Cristo mountain range. And yeah, this is the San Luis Valley. And yeah, this used to be a big lake, and this was the site of, this was called the Bloodless Valley. So Native Americans would come here, different tribes, even if they were warring, when they went over the pass and come into this valley, they had to agree that there would be no wars or bloodshed, because this valley was held sacred. So that's why they call this valley the Bloodless Valley. There's never been a drop of blood that was spilled by Native Americans in anger in this valley. Another thing, this mountain range, the Sando de Cristo Range, is part of the Rockies. And we're right at the base of it, right at the base of Mount Blanca. And along that range, the old style of, have you ever heard of Vision Quest?
Yeah.
The old style of Vision Quest was when the elders got to a certain age, they would go into the woods and give themselves back to the woods. Like they would go out there with food and water and basically starve themselves and die and just become one with nature, you know. That's happened for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years on this mountain range.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a mecca for medicine people to come here and do that. So there's tons of energy. There's spirits like you would not believe. There's alien basins inside the mountains. There's all kinds of, we see ships out here all the time, especially when we're practicing. Another thing that's interesting, a lot of times when we're practicing music, I've seen ships pretty much every time we practice medicine songs or something like that. And it'll be a time where I'm just kind of losing myself, you know, just in really in the now moment, and I just look up and a ship will be driving past, like or flying past, and it's happened a lot out here, man. Like it's a hot spot for sure.
Well, yeah, well, I'm going to come check it out. I'll try to make it happen this year, and yeah, man, I'd love to.
Yeah, it's
all over Gaia too. They have all kinds of different people that have had many different experiences out here, are all based in like Mount Blanca. So they've got some really cool, interesting information out there about it too.
Okay.
Yeah, and look up Crestone. I'll take you out and show you that. That's a special place, man. It's okay. I don't understand how people, it's like
the spiritual mecca of the United States.
Yeah, but people, they find out about it by word of mouth. It's weird. There's like any advertisement for it or anything never really hits the public. But there's 28 different spiritual centers in Crestone. There's ashrams. There's 2 different stupas that's been blessed by both of them's been blessed by the Dalai Lama.
Damn.
They got the prayers from the Dalai Lama that's in the top of it that he wrote down on a piece of paper and put there.
Damn.
And there's a peyote church there, Singing Stone, in Crestone. Yeah, there's
Sweat lodges.
There's teepees. Every other house has a teepee up. Every other house has a sweat lodge up.
Damn.
Most people are sun dancers, and almost everybody there's been on the hill. You know, there's a lot of sacred pipes in Crestone. There's a lot of
nice.
It's powerful, man. It's a powerful place. And we spent a couple of years there, and I'll take you up there, and there's a lot of special places there I could show you.
Okay. Well, I'll have to try to make a plan a trip then, and come up there, and we can hang out and shoot some footage and talk about all this on camera and let everybody, give everybody the tour.